So, hi Anuj, welcome back.
Hi.
Today, I think we need to look at uh, what I was thinking is a lot of people believe in sunshine. Why sunshine? Why not like moon sign or Lagna? You know, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, you see, when you say sun sign, what comes to my mind is the first impression that I had of astrology, I guess, apart from the influence that happens generally to everybody in India during religious ceremonies and other things that we encountered, pundits and Brahmins and astrologers, Jyotishis. So the first thing was Linda Goodman's Sunsign, that book, that big thick book. And that's what I remember very, very clearly. And I think most of the world looks at sun sign,
Hmm.
although Rashi or moon sign is important in Indian context or in Chinese context also in many aspects. But Indians mostly look at their moon signs, which is much more minute or accurate than sun signs itself, because moon changes more often, and moon sign reflects much more closely your life patterns than sun signs do, although
Correct.
both of them have their own places. Now, sun, as we see, changes every month. Moon changes every 2.5 days, approximately. 12 degrees, 12 degrees, and 12 degrees. So about two and
Correct.
a half.
Correct. Hmm.
Okay, so moon sign is much closer. However, we cannot pursue only one particular criteria, because if we take sun sign, okay, it's good. Takes sun, it takes your natal sun as your position, and then announces or reads or interprets your personality around it. We take moon sign, okay, good. It reflects your mind. So it reflects more your patterns of life or what you're going to do or what you're going through. So your moon, and that is how whatever comes, whatever you do first comes in your mind and then only you do it.
Correct.
So it forms like the famous Indian adage, Gangotri. So that is why we are studying moon. So we understand the source and everything else flows from it.
Correct.
Then comes ascendant. That's also a very important pivot of the triangle of sun, moon, and ascendant, what you rightly mentioned. So ascendant is important because that rules our entire life of that particular individual. Okay. In respect to the ascendant, sun and moon affect the life. Okay. So in fact, if we really have to look at only one aspect, I would say moon is better, but ascendant with moon is much better, or ascendant with sun and moon is much, much better. However,
Correct.
this also does not give us a complete picture, because at the end of the day, we are dealing with primarily, to say, 9 planets. There are subplanets and other things, other mathematical points of
Hmm.
importance, but let's say 9 planets. Okay. Now we're dealing with 9 planets. So are these 9 planets important? Yes, they are. And their interplay with each other is very important. So not even where they are placed, but how they are interacting with each other, because they have a different degree of interactivity at different places or different distances that they affect. Just like we are not able to reach easily to a thing that is further on the table, but
Mm.
something which is just in front, we are quickly able to reach and change that. So
Correct.
depending where the distance is, they also have different interrelativity, interplay. Now, there comes, is that the whole picture? So 9 planets, 12 houses.
Mm.
Suddenly, from one sun sign, we have multiplied to 3, which is ascendant, moon, and sun.
Hmm.
Now I have added 6 more planets into it. In
This one.
fact,
Yeah.
7 more planets into it, and it has become a group of 10 points, ascendant plus 9 planets. Okay.
Mm.
And when I say ascendant plus 9 planets, we can count ascendant almost as a planet if we are considering only these objects. But ascendant also is a house. So we are actually taking into mathematical and logistics permutations and combinations.
Mm.
These 9 planets and 12 houses. Would this give us a complete picture? And I would say yes, it would to a certain extent. When all this interplay is happening here, and if you follow what I am depicting you with my hands, if
Hmm.
all this interplay between planets and houses are happening here, there is a bigger background which affects more deeply, more intrinsically, and that background is a background of constellations or nakshatras.
Mm. Correct. Very correct.
Those 27 nakshatras, which are 27 in numbers or 28, but the 27 because the 28th comes within the 26th and 27th. So let's say 27 divided by 360 divided by 27, 13 degrees and 10, you know. So now this nakshatra, this is the background. This also affects the entire interplay of whatever is happening here. So each planet, while being in a particular house, is also being influenced by the nakshatra which is influencing it. Okay, which
Mm.
nakshatra is it falling? Now, behind that nakshatra is the nakshatra deity or the ruler god or demigod, as you would find morally correct for you to accept. Okay, or angel. So that is very important. So this is the chain of events. That is what construes somewhat holistic picture of a person, event, or anything happening on terra firma.
Brilliant.
So that is the interplay. So it's not just sun signs, it's not just moon sign, it's not just ascendant, it's a lot of things. Now imagine the probability generated with so many variables.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's why everybody's so different because there can be
And
a
that is
number of
why,
very unique.
as we discussed in one of the previous talks, that is why people say it is an art. No, it is not an art. And I reiterate it. It is probability, enormous amount of probability. And that's
Mm.
why it comes across to people as an art. Because the
Mm.
probability is enormous that the astrologer is dealing with. And from there, he has to pick the right one.
Correct.
That picking the right one, even people say that is art, and that is not art. That is actually hard work, meditation, reading, or what we call in Sanskrit, manana. Whatever we read, any Sanskrit word, phrase, or mantra, mantraham itself means manana traya iti mantra.
Mm.
Okay, something that has to be, jiska, you have to repeat it and dwell on the meaning of it. So that you have to dwell and you get it.
Yeah, yeah. I
So that's
mean,
why I'm
no, thank you so much. That's amazing, Anuj. I remember when I was learning astrology, my guru used to say that this science, it has to get downloaded into you. Only then you can make something out of those probabilities. Like the way you explained that there can be a number of probabilities. So it depends on like how much it resonates with you, how much it's in you, this science, because it's so deep and so vast as well. Unless you really resonate with it, you can't actually predict anything correctly.
Uh,
Um,
let me put the mystic aspect of this thing into more physical form for us to understand. It's
mhm.
like uh, it's like a doctor would check medical reports and those diagrams, those numbers, they speak to him.
Correct.
They jump out of the report and they speak to him. Okay, some, although written in black, may actually look red to him.
Mm.
They jump so badly, they look red. Oh, okay. It's the same thing what a chartered accountant sees when he sees the balance sheet of a company.
I
The
agree.
numbers speak to him.
I agree, and that is why every like the doctors studied in the same university can interpret the same report in a very different way.
Very
Um,
different way.
and that goes again like how much they are resonating with that science, how much they know, how much they're passionate about it, if it's coming to them naturally or not. It has to become your second
Exactly.
nature. It has to become your second nature. I mean, though I'm not practicing astrology for a very long time, however, I've seen like 500 plus charts. I mean, some people don't see 500 plus charts in the whole life being an astrologer. I was so fascinated with the science, with the subject. I was very, very cautious initially before I got into this science myself, or before I started learning astrology. Um, I'm a guy. I need to see some evidence of things to be working, things to be in motion. Only then, and not one evidence, maybe different times and different ways, and and all those things. So I need to analyze something and test it myself before I can start believing in it and spend my time to learn that uh, art or science or that knowledge. And that's how I started at astrology. So I learned started with KP to begin with, Krishnamurti Padhati. Then I learned KP again from another astrologer. Just nothing wrong with the first one, but I just wanted to see how others are doing it in using KP. And then I started learning Vedic after that. I got very fascinated with it. Learned Vedic, then I learned Bhrigunandinadi after that. Then I haven't left it there. I just went on to learn numerology. Me being an IT guy, done my engineering from London and everything, and I live in the UK. I got just so carried away, so fascinated with it because I can see it working on in people's life day after day. And then I haven't left it there. I learned Swarvigyan after that, Hora Shastra and all sorts of things. And on regular basis, I get in touch with, a beacon of knowledge in astrology like yourself. And I just keep, someone said like, if you want to stay warm, stay close to the fire. You must have heard the saying. So that's what I'm trying to do. And I think what I've learned so far, I just believe it's my duty to give it back to the society if they're really interested in this topic. And some of them might find this video very useful. And I'm sure we share very similar passion for astrology.
Astrology
Uh,
is, I mean, it is exactly almost the same as you have described. I mean, it has always, I started studying, and the more I studied, the more it opened the doors. And well, I find it useful in every facets of life. It has helped me grow. And you talk about the Swarvigyan, the Shiv Swarodevikan. I've been practicing it actively,
but
not actively, but yeah, I've inculcated it in daily routine that I'm always aware which swara is actually active at
Mhm.
all given times. All my work and activities, whenever I'm doing, I'm aware which swara is active, and whenever I'm doing some activity where the opposite swara is active, I'm immediately there's a reminder in the mind. Okay, there's something wrong. Okay,
Mm,
why am I doing this activity? Or I felt like doing this activity. Like, and that happens mostly with
mm,
during work when we are working. So a lot of time you like to pee, and there's something that you have to finish first. So by the time you finish the job, your swara has changed, but
correct.
you still have the urge. So you just go and do it, and you understand. Okay, no, you know, and being aware, being I've read a lot of things, done a lot of things. I'm a Marma Shastra. I've done a course of Marma Shastra. So I give classes in Marma Pranayam
Mhm.
and Marma therapy. uh, Read all the different branches of astrology. So I've been now almost 18 years studying astrology avidly. And
Oh.
so Lal Kitab and KP, Parashari, Orrery, Muhurt. So all these things, having studied that, finally I found home in Parashari more.
Okay.
And in terms of confirmation, what I generally do is I use different dashas. So I will
Hmm.
use Yogini dasha. Okay, I'll use the conditional dashas that are there. Of
Hmm.
course, the use of other tools and drill down tools are there, which is
Oh yes,
the
so many of
supplementary
them.
charts, and, all those other tools. So that is there. Mostly, I don't go on KP so much because for that I need to change all the time the Anamsha in my software, and that mentally disturbs me. I don't want to change it.
Correct.
You see, so I have over the experience, I have got that this works for me, and
Mm,
sometimes I stop, I forget that it has been changed, and then it leads to confusion in my mind when I'm interpreting it. So I have that
mhm,
inbuilt thing about it. So and that keeps me away from KP. That's the actual reason.
mhm,
So after studying it, I don't use generally KP, but yeah, mostly
mm.
Gemini, Parashari, and different dasha systems in Parashari.
Very interesting. Uh, I think we can just go on and on and on, but
We
we
have
have to
to
end
end this.
this for today. Thank you
So
so
much.
much for helping us and enlightening
Yeah,
us
it's a part of
and
the pleasure,
sharing
and
sharing your knowledge.
I love the talks between us, you know. So,
So do I, and we'll continue doing more videos on the in this series. Thank you for your time today, Anuj,
no,
and I'll see you.
I believe we should get people who are practicing astrology or Ayurveda or alternate therapies on the podcast, that more people can profit from it.
100%.
As you said, that it is your duty. Once you learn the art, it is your duty. And yes, it is actually our duty that once you learn an art or a skill like that or a science like that, which is made for the welfare of the society. That also brings me to a question which we can address later. What actually do we get by doing astrology, by knowing the events beforehand? Why should we know?
Correct. We can talk about it in future series. Basically, that's a very interesting topic on its own, and we can just talk hours just on that. So I would say thank you for today, Anuj, and I'll see you shortly in the
Yeah.
next podcast. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.